My name is Sung Lee. I go by the name of SungBeats, and I'm a beatboxer and touring musician from New York City. I think I had a pretty unique upbringing because my family and I, we travel around a lot, and we moved from country to country when I was younger. I've lived in places like Korea, Argentina, and Estonia before finally settling down in the United States. Because I experienced so many different cultures at a young age, diversity is something that I've always welcomed into my life. You see, when I was 9 years old, my family and I, we moved to Bergen County, New Jersey, to this town that was it had a big Korean American population. And because I was surrounded by so many minorities all the time, I never really gave racism too much thought. Like anybody else, I knew it was out there and knew it was real, and I even experienced it in small amounts, but it was never anything malicious. Like not too long ago, I remember bumping into a stranger at a supermarket who was like, Konnichiwa, even though I'm not Japanese. And so a few weeks ago, when the country first began to social distance and stay at home, I was feeling a little bit bored. So I went on social media to see what was happening around me. And I scrolled down my Instagram feed and saw this post of this poor Asian elderly woman who was basically spat on and physically attacked for no apparent reason other than she was Asian. And so I saw that and I thought it was disgusting, appalling, but at the same time, I had my doubts that it would happen in a place like New York City. And so the next following day, I just go about my day, working on some music and other projects that I've been putting off for the longest time. And because I was just feeling stressed out from being cooped up inside all day, I decided to head to the laundromat mat next to my apartment building, as I do every week. So I put on my mask, went downstairs, into the facility, into the laundromat, and immediately I felt like something was definitely off. And from the corner of my eyes, I felt this guy that he was like giving me the dirtiest looks. He was just giving me this cold glare. And, you know, I just try to mind my own business, doing my own thing. And out of nowhere, and unprompted by anybody, this guy just begins to unload with a barrage of the most racist and ignorant comments I've heard in a while. He was saying things like, your people brought the coronavirus to our country. Where do you think you are? Get the hell out of here. Like, why you guys eating raw bats, etc., etc. And so when he made these comments, I immediately felt this anger build in my chest. And I felt like I felt like he thought I was an easy target just because I was Asian and he thought maybe I wouldn't do anything about it. And then this image of that poor defenseless elderly woman that I saw on Instagram, she came to mind, and I just kind of lost control and I started to lash out and curse this guy off. And I literally straight out just told him, "Shut the fuck up, you racist piece of shit. What the hell's your problem?" And unfortunately, the situation only escalated. This guy continued to spew more racist garbage at me, and I continued to get angrier and angrier until we kind of caused this huge commotion at the laundromat. And at some point, I was so appalled by what I was hearing that I pulled out my iPhone, I pressed record, and I dared him to actually repeat what he was saying in front of the camera. And I was just literally like, "Hey, say it again in front of the camera. I dare you, just say it again." But the instant he saw that camera, this guy totally loses it and he just becomes extremely angry and belligerent. Now he starts to walk towards me and starts to yell off the top of his lungs, "Do not record me, do not record me, do not record me," over and over and over again, just screaming off the top of his lungs, threatening to fight me. And I was just thinking, and I even said out loud, if you don't want me to record you, why on earth are you being such a racist piece of shit? And then he just replied, "Did I give you permission to record? Do not record me. Delete the video now or I'll fucking kill you." He was saying that as he was like an inch from my face and backed me into the wall. And at this point, I knew that things were not headed in a good direction. And I just, fearing for my safety a little bit as well, I just decided to do what he said. So I deleted the video from my phone, after which he demanded I pull it out again to show him that it's not in the camera roll. And finally, when I did that, he was satisfied and muttered a few more racist comments before finally storming off the scene. After that, my heart was obviously racing. I was visibly shaking, and you know, I was met with some relief as some of the witnesses in the laundromat they came forward. They approached me to offer some comfort. So, prior to this virus, it did feel like Asian Americans were finally making some progress in popular culture. It felt like we were finally getting some much deserved recognition in mainstream media. We're all very familiar with movies like Crazy Rich Asians and Parasite, as well as media labels like 88 Rising. As someone who's an Asian American entertainer himself, this was extremely, extremely exciting, and it really gave me the inspiration to continue pursuing my dreams and aspirations. But unfortunately, also, it felt like in a matter of a week, because of the stupid virus and some insensitive comments from the president, that all of these achievements and strides we made as an Asian community, it seemed like they were just simply forgotten at the drop of a hat. And so I reflected on, the situation that same night, and I went on social media to maybe get some clarity. Um, and surprisingly, a lot of my Asian friends, they were all going through very similar things. A lot of them came forward and told me that, they were getting name called or harassed simply for strolling down the street or for walking into a restaurant. A lot of these awful things were happening, and at the same time, I was fortunate enough to get a heartwarming outpour of support and love from a lot of my friends and peers and family members on social media. And they're saying things like, Sung, I'm so sorry that you went through this. Thank you so much for standing up for us. I think it was very brave and courageous what you did. But interestingly enough, on the other hand, there are a lot of people and close family members who thought I could have handled the situation much better. And they're saying things like, it's better to not get involved with people like that at all, or like you shouldn't have bothered engaging him at all because people like this, they're never going to change no matter what you say. And obviously, I understood this sentiment because it's kind of what's taught in a lot of Asian cultures and a lot of Asian homes, including my very own. And so the question remains, what is the best way to fight racism? And could I have done things better? And I think I definitely could have handled the situation better, in hindsight. I definitely could have been more calm, collected, and assertive in the way I handled the guy. Clearly getting angry and lashing out and cursing and even pulling out my phone to record him. I think that was just more of my ego speaking, and it wasn't really helping the situation in any way, shape, or form. So, I'm still at the same time extremely proud of the fact that I did something at the very least, and I stood up for something that I thought was unjust. So, when it comes to race, I know there is no quick fix solution and that they're not going to change overnight for sure. And it's definitely an unfortunate reality that a lot of people out there, they just judge people based on, their appearance or color or ethnic background when there's so much more to a human being than meets the eye. For example, me personally, as a world traveling musician who has lived in four continents and has an incredibly unique story and lived experience, this, I'm kind of living proof of this fact. So, how do we move forward now? I think we can only, hope to educate others by promoting awareness, by shedding light on the subject, and, sharing our stories as I'm doing now. I think if you see racism happen in any form, whether the victim is white, black, brown, or yellow, I still think it's very important to do something and call it out at the very least. While racism and bigotry is obviously an unfortunate reality in our world in 2020, my community has also shown me that love, understanding, compassion, these can be even greater forces. You see, if we really want to move forward and beat this thing called racism, I think we need to really, really support each other and stick together. And by sticking together, I don't mean just stick together as an Asian people or as Hispanic people or as Black people. I mean, we need to stick together as one collective whole because at the end of the day, we're all one human race. Thank you.